And again she teleports me to some wretched hole to search for a bauble for her treasure hoard, against my will at that. And she didn't pay me up front like all the other times. Well, this'll be the last time I ever work for that sorceress. I'm sure after I've looted this place clean I can find more gainful employment from another patron. But I might as well look through this place while I'm here. There's nothing for miles around that I could see, and I'll need the coin to pay for travel back home. Besides, my mace arm has grown tired over the months through lack of fighting. The last fun I had was with that group of adventurers in the Kobold Warrens. What fun that was. A shame that they all fell victim to that trap. It was even more of a shame that they fell victim to it because I didn't tell them of it. But their loss was my gain. My monetary gain, that is. But I won't get anywhere talking to myself. There's an orb to find somewhere in here. If it even is here. I swear this is the last time I work for her. But enough. I must press on. Let's crack some skulls. Welcome back, folks, to Let's Play Dungeon Hack. When last we left off, we've been teleported here to this dungeon. We made Celadran, we made the dungeon, and now we're going to explore the dungeon. And I like the fact that the UI here has the drawbridge and the outside of this dungeon, and that we're using the portal to look through to the adventuring world that we're going to explore. It's a very nice touch. But before we move forward, we're going to have a look at everything in this UI, starting with this, the ragdoll with which we put all of the items that we're going to use. Right now we don't have many things. We have a sturdy mace and a holy symbol. You need the holy symbol in one of your hands to cast any spells and to turn undead. We also have a chainmail shirt and leather boots. If we click Celadran here, we can bring up all of his information, including his current armor class of 5. We want that number to be as low as possible, because in Thaco, low numbers are better. We have 6,000 experience, so we're level 4, and we are 16 years old, again, very young for a half-elf. Clicking this again will return to this screen. We have 2 pouches of rations, which we'll use to replenish this food bar. When the food bar is completely depleted, we'll start losing health, and when we lose all our health, we'll die. And we have multiple pages of inventory, which is very important because we are the only person in the party, and we're going to be picking up everything that we can. This is the compass. The compass is very useful and never goes away. This is the map, which if we press and wait for it to load, it does take a while, will show us everything that we need to see. There are the stairs up that we can't go up, because that is the way out, and the only way we can find the orb is to move forward. And there is an item indicated by a tiny blue dot. Creatures are red dots, and creatures are not finite in any level. They will slowly respawn over time, giving you the potential to farm unlimited experience. You can only do that with certain classes, however, and the cleric is one of them. Not that I'll be doing so, because fighting monsters yields surprisingly little experience. We also have this here, which allows us to move. You could also use the numpad, but I'm going to be using this, firstly because it makes it clearer where I'm moving, and second because we only have one person to control. When you have 4 or 6 people, using this makes it far more difficult to fight. But with only one person, it's not that difficult to move from here to here when combat starts. And the last thing we're going to look at is we're going to look at the camp menu here. Resting does exactly what it says. You rest, and if you have any spells that you need to pray for or memorize, the game will do that. If you're hurt and you can heal yourself, it will ask if you want to use your healing spells, which means that you'll rest with the spells and then cast them, and then you'll rest again and then cast them, until you're at full health and you have all of your spells again. Your rest can be interrupted, and you really don't want that to happen. There's also the show creature totals, which shows you which creatures you've defeated and how many. There's the Hall of Fame, which is for the score. There's exit game, save game, restore game, the ability to turn sounds on or off, there are no sliders, show numbers, and breaking camp, which returns you back to the game. We are on the first of 18 floors, and there is the dungeon seed if anybody else wants to try this dungeon. we're going to pray for spells, because having 5 Cure Light Wounds is good, but having 1 Detect Magic is even better. It's the only way we're going to find out if anything is magical, because we currently don't have a way to identify items. It also means that whenever we find items, we're going to need to be careful, because they can be cursed, and the curses are really bad. And you may wonder why Invisible to Undead is here. That is because there are quite a lot of undead if you don't turn them off. Level 2, we have 4 spells available, and Hold Person is nice, but Flame Blade is also a really good spell. At the moment, it's our only melee magic attack, and it does do quite a lot of damage. We don't need Resist Fire or Cold or Spiritual Hammer or Slow Poison right now. We want to get level 3 magic as quick as possible, and then afterwards level 4. Level 3 because it gets rid of this food problem, because clerics in this game have access to create food and water, and once you have that, the food bar is meaningless, because 1 cast of Create Food and Water fills it to maximum. We want level 4 for the underwater levels, which I presume there are going to be some. But we have to break camp and move forward, because we can't go this way and run away from the dungeon. The only way we're going to go is deeper in, and we found our first item, a piece of jade. Might be worth a little bit. Goblinoids. Always goblins that infest these dungeons, but they're easily dispatched. A few hits and the goblin is dead. We took 1 hit in return, but that's fine, we can always heal that later. There are also lots of things that you can look at in every dungeon, like this here. It's too dark to see what lies below this grate. Perhaps we're glad that we can't see what's below. We can't look at the moss on the wall, though. We can look at this one, it's exactly the same as the other one, though, even if it looks a little rusty. And there is an orc. One of the easier enemies in the game. A few swings of the mace, and hopefully it will be dead. Unfortunately, we missed. And with 3 hit points of damage, the orc is dead. You'll notice that there is no music in this game, at all. Much like Eye of the Beholder, there's no music at all, barring the introduction. And we got hit again. Dual wielding is very impressive for that goblin to hit us. And the goblin is gone. They have random health, as you could see there. And we have found an agate ring. We're going to cast a spell by pressing left mouse button on the holy symbol, and at the bottom here is Turn Undead. We don't have Detect Magic yet because I haven't rested. And we shall cast healing spells, which does mean that we rest a little bit longer, but that's fine. What we're going to do is we're going to cast Detect Magic and see if this is magical. And it is, because it now glows blue. The holy symbol is also magical. Let's risk putting it on. This is a ring of invisibility. That will be very useful. We know it's a ring of invisibility because the effect is obvious. We turned invisible. Most other items don't tell you what they are when you use them unless their effect is obvious. This was a very obvious item, and a very powerful one too. We'll be sure to get a lot of use out of that at some point. This is a window. I'll never make it through here. I'll have to find another way. It looks like the other way is rather easy though, because we have now made it to the other side. And over here is a hole in the wall. These rough-hewn walls seem to have had some work. I can hear the sound of running water echo from within this drain. I hope there aren't submerged levels. How I despise murking my way through water. And here is a door. Something seems to be missing here. We're going to look at the map before we do anything. There is something behind there, and normally I wouldn't open it, because there's a high chance that there'll be nothing. But there may be equipment. So we're going to use this jade, because the lock here gives us a clue as to how to open it. There's a piece of jade here, and by using this here, we can open the door. And there is a cornelian here. That's probably for another door. And in here is absolutely nothing. It was worth looking, but we weren't rewarded for doing so. And much like in Lands of Lore, if you press this button, the door will open. Onward we go! And we found a gold key. The first key we found in the game. Well, the first actual key. That is also a key, the cornelian there. And we found another key. And here we see something that the game does a lot. It just throws loads and loads of keys at you, and you have to find out which keys are used on which doors. Something seems to be missing here. It appears to be this Cornelian, but we're going to look around in other locations first, just in case. And there is a lock. If you're a rogue, you can try and open locks with a set of lockpicks. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We'll just attack this orc here. It hasn't hit us, and we hit it, quite soundly. Here is a gold coin. Gold coins are used in particular machines that you find throughout this dungeon, and they can restore your health. We're going to use this gold key here, and the lock clicks open, and in here is an orc. In fact, in here are a few enemies, so we're going to stand here so that they can only attack us 2 at a time. The largest number of enemies that can attack you from any one direction is 2, unless they have ranged attacks, and I don't know if enemies in this game have ranged attacks. One thing that is a slight flaw in this game is that any item that is thrown has a chance of dealing damage to an enemy. This fountain has long been unused and now only holds a thick layer of dust. It won't help me here. You could throw any item. You could throw potions, you can throw a mace that you found, you can throw a suit of armor, and they all have a chance of dealing a tiny amount of damage to a foe. This is useful if you encounter enemies that can only be hurt by magic weapons and you don't have a magic weapon. And Cure Light that I just used there doesn't ask you which target you want to use it on, because you only want to use it on yourself. Unless you are fighting undead, but we have Turn Undead for that, which works as a spell in this game. You can just use it a lot of times. And it may work, it may not, and if it does work, usually the undead run away. Have at thee, orc! And thee was had at, but there are 2 orcs here. We're going to engage in the age-old tactic of backing away, and the enemies can open doors themselves, which is something you need to consider. And you can't close a door that you've unlocked. So sometimes you want to leave doors unlocked. And here is an amulet, and something that we can read, a parchment. If we put it in our hand and click it, we may get some vital clues. I think again of the signs marking the presence of a dragon. Most dragons, as I recall, have some resistance to magic. The parchment crumbles to dust. This is good information. People who haven't played an AD&D game and don't know much about the enemies will find a lot of useful hints in these pieces of parchment that we'll find. We are going to explore onwards and hope that we can find more of them. I know a fair few things about the enemies that we're going to encounter, but it's always nice to find out more. And here is a hidden switch. It wasn't that well hidden, and unlike in Lands of Lore, the game won't tell us when there is a hidden switch. And there is an item that we're going to be using. That looks like a magic hammer to me. And we always like magic hammers. We found a magic amulet as well. It's a throwing hammer, which is unfortunate because it can only be thrown. Or maybe we can attack with it anyway. We'll find out in a moment. But first I'm going to save, because there's a high chance that the item that we've picked up, the amulet that is cursed, and if it's cursed, we can't remove it. So what we're going to do is we're going to equip it by putting it here, and then we're going to try and take it off, and that worked. We are armor class of 5, and we still have an armor class of 5. What does this do? It hasn't raised any of our stats, so it's not going to do that. It can't hurt to wear it right now. Some amulets can be used, though, and they have certain charges and spells they can cast, and one of those spells can return you back to the entrance of the level that you're on. That can be useful sometimes if you're in a tight situation, but right now we're quite comfortably fighting orcs and goblins, so we're not going to worry about that. Is that all there is here? Just orcs. I'm going to need a key to open this lock. This key will do fine. And the door is open, and there are even more orcs in here. After all, there are always orcs, as a sword once told me. We'll just hit this one here. We do need to be careful, though, because if we take too many hits at this level, we will die. The fact that we're by ourselves is the reason why we started at level 4. If we had a whole party, it would be more reasonable to have the party begin at first level, but we're already a sort of seasoned adventurer, as a 16-year-old elf. We indeed have been doing a lot of adventuring in our youth. We're going to have a look at the map now and see where we haven't been. We haven't been down here, we haven't been this way, but we can't get to there yet. We'll have to go up there to get there. I think exploring here is probably the best idea for now, mainly because it's unlikely that that's going to lead anywhere in particular beyond a little bit of loot. And so this way we go, through the arch there, and down to here. And maybe we'll find some more enemies, or maybe we won't. But what item is over here? The answer is another key. A holy key. And a puddle on the ground. A puddle of water formed on the floor here. It's extremely cold to the touch. And is there anything we can use to... Aha! A not-so-hidden switch. Normally there's a way to open a door, but some doors can only be opened from one side. And here is a grappling hook. We can use that to get out of pits. And here is an orc. We can kill this to gain a small amount of experience, and not die. Over here is nothing but this. And we can't click that. It's always worth clicking things just to see if there's anything there important. And down here, it does seem to wind a long way for me thinking there was nothing here. And there is something here. Another crystal key, and a rock. I doubt the rock is magical, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's a magic rock of destiny. It is unlikely to be a magic rock of destiny. But having an item that we can throw is always a good thing. Then again, we have this throwing hammer. If I were to equip that and attack with it, does it get thrown? It does get thrown. So there is no reason to actually equip it, because you can throw things without having them in your hand, by just doing this. There we go! And we fling the hammer, and it doesn't come back, which is a pity, but we do know that it's magical, which is always good. Why don't we put it here? Because we're likely to be using that often, and that is a shorter distance to reach for it. And so onwards we go, further into the first floor of this dungeon, and the only way we can go is up. And so up we shall travel. This way we go, Celadran, deeper into the depths. Anything over here apart from more items to pick up, like this key? A crimson key. The game does love throwing keys at us, and it loves throwing orcs at us. And here is a magic set of gauntlets, and unfortunately our detect magic has expired, but we know that these are gauntlets, so we're going to equip them, and they are not cursed. But what do? They've increased our strength to 19. I believe these are gauntlets of ogre strength, or ogre power as I think they were known in 2nd edition. We are now ridiculously strong, and it also means that anything that reduces our strength isn't really going to do that much. Look at the difference there. We are hitting things for 13 damage. That is ridiculous. And something is opening that door. An enemy that we're about to kill, because we are ridiculously strong now. How much experience have we gained? Well, we're going to gain quite a bit more by fighting all of these goblins. These goblins that really don't stand a chance anymore because we are very powerful. We have gained only 312 experience, and we need to gain a lot more experience to gain another level. Aha! And you are dead. Bleh. And there is another enemy here, and we'll hit you as well. Eventually. Give us time. There we go. You are now dead too. And over here is one of those things where we can use that gold coin. I wonder what that slot is for. That slot is so that we can use our coins. And this door was shut behind us. I've no idea who did that, but somebody did that. We can go down here. And there is a niche. It is empty right now. And we can't do anything with a niche that has nothing in it. But we have found this area, the area that we saw through the window before. I really don't class this as a window, it's a hole. But the game classes it as a window, and later on we will find actual windows. There is a door we can open, and this is not a secret wall. We haven't found any yet, but we will in time. one holy key on a lock, and we move forward and find another door that requires a key that I don't think we have. Now, where haven't we explored? We haven't explored up here, but there's a high chance that there's absolutely nothing in there. Then again, there may be the way down in there, so we're probably going to have to open that at some point. We'll go over here and explore the one area that we haven't been to yet, which is over here and not here, because we've explored here already. Silly Celadran getting lost in an easily navigable dungeon. The dungeons will get far more complicated later. There is a door that we didn't open before. In here is another orc, and we missed this time, but that time we hit for a ridiculous amount of damage. We're probably going to keep those gauntlets for the entire game. It's unlikely the game is going to give us anything better. And what is in here but nothing at all? And in here is also nothing at all. Absolutely nothing. We're going to check this wall here. There are no secret walls there. We'll find them eventually, but not just yet. More importantly, we found some food. We're going to need that food because slowly that food bar is going down. And we need to replenish it before we starve. We'll just defeat these enemies here. You orcs and goblins are nothing compared to the might of Celadran, who's probably really enjoying the opportunity to fight things. And he's already found some pretty good loot. More importantly, we found a Scroll of Bless that will let us cast Bless once without having prepared it. That's good. Is there anything else over here? The answer is a resounding no. But there are ways that we haven't been, and if we press up here we can see the rest of the map. We have explored about half of this level, maybe a bit more. And areas that we've been to before are already refilling with enemies. We're unlikely to go back and kill these two, but we may have to kill that one. But that will be for next time, folks, as when we come back, Celadran will continue to explore the first level of this dungeon. And if he's lucky, he may find even more amazing loot. He's already found some magic gauntlets, a ring of invisibility, and a magic throwing hammer. Will he find a magic mace? I highly hope that he does. So I'll catch you next time, folks, and I'll see you then. Later.